Om Shanti, how are you? So, this is going to be a very interesting video both for atheists and theists. So, there is a world famous temple in South India, Tamil Nadu, in a place called Chidambaram, which is a Natraj temple. So, where you can find the statue of Natraj dancing God Shiva. So, that temple is very famous. Many foreigners visit this temple on daily basis. But still there is a particular statue in that temple that was questioned by Periyar E.V. Ramaswamy back in 1928. So that statue is none but Lord Ganesh. In that statue, Lord Ganesh is portrayed with his trunk touching the vagina of the female deity who was sitting on his lap completely nude. And Periyar, he was an atheist, and two major political parties that rule Tamil Nadu alternately for the past 56 years, where the parties emerged from the main party created by Periyar. So such is the influence of Periyar. That's why you can find many atheistic views arising from Tamil Nadu every now and then. Maybe he is the reason that BJP did not come to power yet in Tamil Nadu. So this is just to provide the background of Periyar. So he questioned in a magazine about this statue, and he was asking why there is such obscene statue being worshipped by Hindus. Actually, he is a staunch atheist. He is the reason for atheism in Tamil Nadu. So he used to question many stories from Hindu scriptures. So this is one among it. And in that particular article, he was asking a series of questions which we will be answering now. So it's almost 100 years, because in 1928 he wrote this article, and it is 2025, just 3 years to complete 100 years. It's really pathetic that nobody ever came forward to answer his questions. So I believe this is going to be the first attempt in answering all his questions. So that will help not only atheists to get the answer for their questions, but also for theists to develop firm faith in whatever they believe in, because we don't only discuss Hindu scriptures, but also we have a separate channel for Bible and Quran. So we give answers to all the doubts in all religious scriptures. First, he questions the birth of Lord Ganesh. So he says there are 4 stories described for Lord Ganesh. The first story is the most familiar and acceptable one, which goes like this. When the wife of God Shiva, Parvati, was going to take bath, just to safeguard anyone from entering the place of bathing, she took the dirt from her skin and she rolled into a role, and she made it into Lord Ganesh. So this is what everybody believes, right? So when God Shiva was coming on the way, Lord Ganesh stopped him, saying that um, his mother Parvati was taking bath. So he gets very angry because Lord Ganesh was the first one to stop God Shiva. So he gets angry and he cuts his head with his trishul. So on knowing this, Parvati gets so furious that she shouts at God Shiva, and God Shiva, to soothe his wife, he wants to attach the head back and bring Lord Ganesh back to life, but unfortunately the head was not found. So he fits an elephant's head to him and brought him back alive. So that's this story, first story. Okay, before going to the second story, let me explain. So just by saying this story, you will know that it is highly impossible for these things to happen, right? So not only Hindu scriptures, all the stories that's mentioned in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bible, Quran, they did not happen for real. That's not history. So that has a deep spiritual secret which nobody can find out until God himself comes in the end and gives his direct knowledge. So only by listening to the direct knowledge of God from God Shiva, one can understand all the riddles that's there in all stories, including the ones we have seen. So God reveals about this 5000 year time cycle, which is wrongly represented as lakhs of years in Hindu scriptures, but it is just 5000 year time cycle called Kalpa, and the first half of which was heaven and the last half is hell where we live in. But the good news is it's going to be complete, because just 100 years before the destruction of this Kali Yuga, God Shiva himself comes from his supreme abode, which is the golden red colored light world. He enters an old man's body and gives this knowledge through that old man. He names that old man as Brahma. So whoever listens to the direct knowledge of God through Brahma's mouth, they are called Brahma Kumars and Kumaris, which means sons and daughters of Brahma. So they are the ones who recognize God Shiva, who speaks through Brahma and becomes the direct children of God Shiva through Brahma, which is why they are called Brahma Kumars and Brahma Kumaris. So although everybody is a child of God Shiva, but not everybody accepts God. Not everybody recognizes God through Brahma. So only 1 in million is lucky enough to recognize God. So if you are going to listen to this video till the end, I must say you must be that lucky one, 1 in million. Or else you will have no patience to watch this video even this far. And God says, when this world was heaven, we were also there. In the beginning, we were filled with divine qualities like purity, peacefulness, blissfulness. And we did not have even trace of any of these 5 vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. So these 5 vices, which nowadays is present in both men and women, which is collectively called 10-headed Ravan. Other than that, there is no one with 10 heads as mentioned in Ramayana. So in heaven, Ravan was not there. These 5 vices did not exist. Although men and women were so beautiful, they did not get distracted by each other's beauty, mainly because they were not body conscious. Their focus is in the soul. that shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows, which is why Hindus apply tilak here. So they consider themselves to be souls and see each other as soul while interacting with them. That's the reason they remained blissful throughout, because blissfulness and peacefulness is the true nature of soul. As long as you are soul conscious, you were blissful. So that's how you remained blissful for the first 2500 years, and that's the reason this world where we live in, especially India, was heaven for the first 2500 years. And those who lived in heaven are called deities and being worshipped till now by Hindus, because they were as pure as God Himself. They are not God, but they were equal to God in purity. So that's why they are also worshipped. And you may wonder, if they don't have lust, then how can they give birth to a child? They did give birth to a child, but not through sex. When the husband and wife have the thought of having a baby, the wife gets pregnant. I know it's hard to believe it now, but that's how they were. That's the reason we worship. Everybody in heaven took birth like this, with the power of thought, because the pure soul has the power in their thoughts to make it happen right in that instant. So this is mentioned in Bible as the birth of Jesus Christ, but everybody in heaven takes birth like that. But Jesus took birth in hell. So in hell nobody was pure, nobody was born pure, everybody was born through sex. So that's why I already mentioned none of those story really happened. So what happens after 2500 years is we forget that we are souls. It happens gradually over the period of 2500 years. It takes 2500 years for us to forget that we are souls. So you no longer derive pleasure from within, because you are no longer soul conscious. So obviously you will become body conscious. So it is when you become body conscious, the only way to get happiness is through sensual pleasures. So that's how you become addicted to sensual pleasure. Thereby these five vices, lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego, emerge from within. So under the influence of these five vices, we start committing many sins, because of which we are stripped of the wealth, health, beauty and everything we originally inherited in heaven. So now at the end of this 5000 year time cycle, we are left with nothing to lose, because we have lost everything. So that's when God comes and reveals the secret to gain back everything we have lost over the course of 5000 years. How? By becoming soul conscious again. But we don't have the power to remain soul conscious all the time, although we get the knowledge that we are souls, that shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows, and it is the soul that sees through the eyes, speaks through the mouth, performs all acts through this body. So in order to fill ourselves with the power necessary to be soul conscious all the time, we need to consider ourselves to be souls and to remember God as a point of light who shines like a star in the golden red colored light world called the soul world, or Parandam or Parlok in Hindi. So this God who appears to be a point of light just like a soul, he is also a soul. That's why he is called Supreme Soul, Param Atma. So he is called God Shiva, And the same God, Shiva, was called Allah by Muslims and Heavenly Godfather by Christians. God is just one for everybody, no matter what religion or country or race or community you belong to. So it is only when the God comes in the end that we get the true introduction about God. And the reason Hindus worship millions of deities is that they don't know the difference between God and deities. So it is God who comes in the end and makes us back to deities by making us become soul conscious again. By giving this simple mantra called Manmana Pava. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So it actually means renounce all the religion of body and remember just me, or surrender yourself to me. How do we surrender ourselves? By forgetting everything, including the body of ours, by considering ourselves to be just a soul, and to remember God as a point of light as much as possible, no matter what you do. Because here you don't have to sit in a certain posture or do anything or visit pilgrimage place or chant any mantra. You don't have to do anything. Those come under the path of devotion. For the past 2500 years, while we were in hell, what we were following in all religions is nothing but the path of devotion. It is the path created by humans to attain God. But it is impossible. It is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. No matter how much tapasya or whatever religious rituals you perform in any religion, you will never attain me. You got to wait until I myself comes in the end. So that's why people say about the arrival of Kalki, the second coming of Jesus. But in reality, it is not Jesus or Sri Krishna who is going to come again, but it is God Shiva who is not coming again. He comes only once in Kalpa. But he comes in every Kalpa, just to convert Kali Yuga into Satyuga. Because Satyuga is filled with people with high standards, and Kali Yuga is filled with people with low standards. Then how is this transformation happen all of a sudden? It happens in the last 100 years when God himself comes and gives this knowledge, and that last 100 years is called Sangam Yug, which is not mentioned in any religious scripture. Although there's mention of the remaining four yugas, Satyug, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, Kali Yug, although the duration they have extended it in lakhs, but in reality the whole of this cycle itself is just 5000 years. So all we need to do to become soul conscious is to consider ourselves to be souls and to remember God as a point of light as much as possible. And also when we interact with each other, make sure your focus is in between the eyebrows where soul is located. So you should see each other as soul and not as the body. This is what soul conscious is all about. So by saying that God Shiva cuts the head of Lord Ganesh, it actually means cutting the body consciousness of us and making us into divine being. So it is only after the head of Lord Ganesh is cut by God Shiva that he becomes so peaceful. Before that he was very arrogant that he even dares to fight with God Shiva himself. So that is our story. That's how we were before taking this knowledge, full of body consciousness, lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. So it's like a dirt. That's why Ganesh was shown to be made out of dirt of Parvati. So actually it is us who are Parvati now. In one sense, we are the sons of God because we inherit his property. Not only sons inherit the property of father, but also wives inherit the property of their husbands. So he is also our husband. So that's why you can find that God Shiva was never shown to be born as a child to any parent. But on the other hand, Parvati, she takes many avatars by being born to human parents, which confirms the fact she is an ordinary human. She was born to a fisherman, she was born to a king. So that's how the story goes. So that represents us. So God is rescuing us from the clutches of Ravan, which is nothing but the five vices. So in that sense, we are the Sitas. You got to understand this point, because every religious story revolves around what's happening in this Kali Yuga when God Himself comes and converts us from body consciousness into soul consciousness. So, other than that, God doesn't kill anybody, doesn't use sword to cut anybody's head. There are many rituals. See, even Adam was shown to be raised from the mud, right? So that actually means that we are body conscious. That is, we are conscious of ourselves to be the bodies that's made out of clay. So that is what it actually means. There it is shown that he breathes into the clay to bring him alive. But God doesn't have a body to breathe in the first place. So all he has is this knowledge. He gives that to us and brings us alive, makes us divine. And there is a function called Mayanoci in Parvati temple in Tamil Nadu, where they create a Parvati statue in the lying posture made out of clay. And towards the end of the function, people will jump on it and break it into pieces. So it actually means it is when we break out of body consciousness that we become divine by becoming fully soul conscious. So for that we need to stay in remembrance of God all the time, and we need to listen to the direct teachings of God called Murli, which is available absolutely free of cost in all Brahmakumari's Rajyog meditation centers. You can also access it online in several YouTube channels and websites. We'll be giving the links of some of them in the description below. You can also Google it yourself. Okay, now let's come to the second story of the birth of Lord Ganesh. So, two elephants, one male and one female, was having sex, and God Shiva and Parvati, on saying it, they themselves were reminded of physical relationships, so they got into physical affair, and they gave birth to the elephant faced child. So he is called Lord Ganesh. So this is definitely blasphemy for God Shiva, because he doesn't even have a body, and the very purpose of him coming to this world is to make us conquer sex. So why would he engage in such acts? So that's why he is called Kamataneshwar in Tamil, which means the one who burnt lust. So there's also a story where he burnt Manmadan, the god of lust, into ashes by opening his third eye. And the third story is really very interesting. When Parvati Mata was pregnant, a demon took the form of air and enters her womb and cuts the head of the fetus. So Parvati Devi makes for it by giving birth to the baby with the attached head of an elephant. So that's one story. Although, of course, by listening to any story, it's quite evident that it couldn't have happened in reality. But still, it reveals much more deeper secret because everything happens in inside the mother's womb. Actually, the uh, place of the temple where the main statue, the primary god of the temple was placed, was called Garbhagraha, which means the uterus. So here it's amazing story. Even nobody knows about this story. Thanks Periyar for coming out with this story, which has a deeper spiritual secret. Because what happens inside a mother's womb is actually the soul, after leaving a body at the time of death, enters a mother's womb at the 4th months of pregnancy, which means already the 4-month-old fetus was ready to take the soul in. So it has to spend the remaining 6 months period inside the womb before it gets delivered into a fully grown baby. So what happens inside the womb is it is developing its body parts, right? So that's the physical aspect. But now we are filled with devilish qualities. So this 100 years called the Sangam Yuga or the confluence age, where the end of one kalpa and the beginning of another kalpa meets, or the end of Kali Yuga and the beginning of Satyug meets. So that's Sangam or confluence age. So this 100 years can be called the uterus, because this is where we are filled with the divine qualities that is necessary for taking birth in heaven. So that's why this is called Garbhagraha or the uterus. That's the reason. So this 100 years has this significance. Actually, as I already mentioned, whatever happens in these 100 years is being celebrated as festivals in all religions, was developed into stories in all religions. So this can also be called the uterus or Garbhagraha. So this is where our body consciousness is cut and God makes us into soul conscious. That's why it is shown that everything happens inside Parvati Ma's womb. And the fourth story is God Shiva sends his elder son Ganesh to destroy the yagya created by Takan. In Tamil it is mentioned as Takan, maybe it's something else in Hindi, maybe Tachan or something. So, but Takan cut off the head of Ganesh. Then God Shiva sends his second son to look for his for his elder brother. Then Kartik came and says that he couldn't find the head of his brother. So God Shiva attaches the elephant's head to that. So this is just another story. The one thing that's common is the head is replaced from the old head to the new head. That is from body consciousness into soul consciousness. It's like a new birth after taking this knowledge. Before that, we would consider everybody in a certain way: father, mother, sister, friend, enemy. After taking this knowledge, everybody is just our brother. That too, soul wise. We no longer see anybody as bodies. So the only relationship we have with everybody is just brother relationship, because all souls are sons of God Shiva. So and also we don't see anybody lustfully. So it's like a new birth. As a remembrance of this particular uh, behavior we adopt after taking this knowledge, it is represented in Christianity that you have to take Gyan Snan, that is uh, taking the bath of knowledge, that you will be converted into true Christian. But nothing will happen by taking bath in any water or by reading any religious scripture, because the world continues to be more and more hellish even after reading all religious scriptures, because they don't know the actual meaning, they don't know what needs to be changed. So now, after taking this knowledge, we no longer indulge in sex, but it doesn't happen overnight. Of course, it takes time and effort. But in the very beginning, we renounce sex. But in the mind, those sexual thoughts, to contain it, it definitely takes time and the effort. And what is the effort? It's very simple. Just we need to be in remembrance of God no matter what we do, so that our soul is filled with enough power to conquer the lustful thoughts. And now Periyar says, if one God was born to a mother and father, then even that mother and father will have the mother and father, which makes sense. But what he doesn't know, or nobody knows, is the difference between deity and God. God is just one. And since we become equal to God in terms of purity and divine qualities, that people worship deities as God. That's it. Other than that, God doesn't take birth. God is eternal. So is the soul. The only thing that gets transformed is, it was pure in the beginning, it becomes impure in the course of 5,000 years, and God comes in the end and gives this secret to purify ourselves, so that we can take birth in the heaven from the beginning again. So, soul is eternal, God is eternal, even this world is eternal. Even this world drama cycle of 5,000 years is eternal. Because what happens in one kalpa keeps repeating kalpa after kalpa, so identically. To understand this very easily, if you are watching this video now, you must have watched this video 5,000 years on the very same date and year. So that continues kalpa after kalpa. It's so accurate. So it is only those who has listened to this in the previous kalpa will listen to it again. Those who has taken this knowledge in the previous kalpa will take this knowledge again and become deity again. So only those who belong to the deity religion or Adi Sanatana deity religion will be attracted to this knowledge. They will not be satisfied by any religious scriptures. They will be satisfied only when they listen to God directly. So only they can understand this knowledge. Don't worry, if you are watching this video this far, I'm 100% sure that you belong to our deity clan, or else you will not have the patience and strength to understand this video or even to listen to this video this far. And finally, he touches the subject of the topic of this video, which is about that obscene statue of Lord Ganesh in Chidambaram Natraj temple, where the trunk of Lord Ganesh was touching the genital part of the female deity seated on his lap. And he says, they say there's a story behind that. And the story goes, a god was fighting with a demon, and so as the god keep killing all the demons continue to come out of the vagina of a devil girl. So he sought the help of Lord Ganesh, and he was sucking the devils out of the uterus of the devil girl, which is why the trunk was shown in the genital area. And Periyar was saying that people have been worshipping this statue, uh, men, women, even kids. They see this statue all the time. So, why can't any theist explain about this? And why are the theists thrashing out on atheists who are pointing out these obscene things in the Hindu religion? And I believe we are the first to answer all the questions of Periyar. So, not only Tamil Nadu, whole world is under the clutches of atheism. Hope this video will enlighten them into the deepest secrets of all religions, not restricted to Hinduism. So now let's answer this, and before that, the reason how we are able to uh, give the secrets hidden in the stories of all religious scriptures is simply by getting the direct knowledge of God Shiva, which is called the Murali, which is available absolutely free in all Brahma Kumaris Rajoga meditation centers. So the words he used, the same word will be portrayed, will be used in the portrayal of certain stories. Sometimes it is portrayed in the obscene way, like the story we just discussed. So in today's Murli, towards the end of Murli, there will always be Avyakt Ishara, Avyakt signal. So let me read that, then you will get the idea of what the story is all about. In order to accumulate the power of thought, practice putting a full stop in a second to seeing or hearing anything. If you put up a queue of why or what to your thoughts, if you create a creation of waste, you will have to sustain it. You will continue to spend your thoughts, energy, and time on that. Therefore, have birth control over that creation of waste, and you will be able to become an instrument for doing the unlimited spiritual world service. So, here our aim and objective of this knowledge is to purify ourselves and to purify others by giving them this knowledge, and purify the entire world with the power of positive and pure thoughts. So for that, there should be power in the thought. Just remember, I said earlier that in heaven even childbirth happens with the power of thoughts. So the thoughts will get power when it is not adulterated with unwanted thoughts, waste thoughts, lustful thoughts, and negative thoughts. So you should be free from vicious, negative, and waste thoughts. So that's why God says, whatever you see, just put full stop in a second. Don't think about it. Whatever you listen, just put full stop in that very instant. Don't think about it. Or else, your mind will create the queue of thoughts in the form of questions like, why did this happen? What has happened? Like that. So, this means you are creating waste thoughts. If you create, you will have to sustain. Just like if we create a baby, that is, if we give birth to a baby, we will have to sustain it, right? So that's why God says, why should you create those waste thoughts in the first place? Because in sustaining those thoughts, you get curious on whether or not it's true. So you will spend your thoughts, time, and energy on that. You will waste your time, energy, and thoughts on that. So instead, why can't you take birth control? So have birth control over the creation of waste thoughts. Only then you will be filled with powerful positive thoughts that you can create an impact not only on humans but also on the five elements. So that's how we create this world which is hell now into the world of heaven. So we shouldn't waste our thoughts. So that's why God says have birth control over those waste thoughts. So don't give birth to the waste thoughts at all. So that's why he asks us to have birth control. So this is what is represented in that statue. So see, actually, one interesting fact is you may have witnessed famous incidents of Ramayana like kidnapping Sita by Ravan. That's sculptured in some temples. But there are many temples that had those statues even before Ramayana was written. So is the saints from Mahabharata. Because they did not study that to sculpt it. They will have visions of it because the path of knowledge, path of devotion begins only when this world becomes hell in the past 2500 years. While the world was heaven, there were absolutely no traces of devotion. There were no temples. People wouldn't think about God, not because they are atheists, because they were so happy that they did not have thoughts of God. It is only when we become sad, the mind develops the thought about God, so it creates scriptures, temples, and so on. So, while they were meditating, they will have visions of certain scenes that they sculpt into those statues. Likewise, while they write scriptures, they will have visions while they were fully awake or sometimes in their dreams. That's how they write those scriptures. They don't write by thinking about it. That's why you don't find any logic in all religious scriptures. It is only when God comes in the end that we understand the true meaning behind those statues or the scriptures. Likewise, here God says, have birth control over the waste thoughts. So, just before, all sins are committed first in the mind, right? Our mind first gets corrupted with the sinful thoughts. When it goes out of control, then it expresses in itself through our vision, words, and actions. So here we have to control the mind, and instead of letting those thoughts emerge, why can't you just cut the moment it starts to emerge? So that's what God means. That is what that statue represents. So child has to be delivered through the mother's womb. Likewise, this thought should be finished right when it's born from its uterus. So here the uterus is mind. Nobody knows where mind is. So that's why, since it is mentioned as uterus, we have to birth control. So they have depicted that statue as the trunk closing the vagina of the female deity. Actually, there are many similar stories with a decent version, like Rathabhuj. So he was a demon when Parvati Devi, in the form of Durga, when she was fighting with that demon, every single drop of blood that falls on the land becomes another Rathabhiksha. So Devi finally licks all the blood before it falls on the ground by collecting all the blood drops into a vessel. She drinks. Again, it did not happen. So what happens is, God is helping us destroying Ravan or the devilish thoughts. by keeping our mind busy with the thought of God and our aim of claiming the highest status in heaven, which is Sri Krishna, because he is the first prince of the kingdom of heaven who was born without sex. So from then on, everybody was born pure, not through sex. Hope I explained every single question asked by Periyar uh, in an easy manner. So, what do you think about it? Please let me know your opinion in the comment section. Om Shanti, thanks for watching. So, please share this video with your friends and relatives of all religions, or even if they are atheists, because everybody needs this video. Om Shanti. Thanks for watching.